It's been a while since I've uploaded, and there's a lot of reasons for that. I don't really have as much time nowadays. I'm prioritizing other things in my life at the moment, and while all of that is true, and those are contributing factors for me not uploading, the main reason I'm having a hard time uploading is just because my YouTube videos are extraordinarily imperfect, to say the least. Sometimes I get facts wrong or accidentally say the wrong things because I'm rushing through words. And I guess looking at my channel, I just feel unsatisfied. If I could, I would probably start completely over, but I don't really know if that's the right choice or even a good choice. So I've decided not to do that. The idea of what I wanted to do with this channel is there. The thumbnails are good. The titles are fine, mostly. The general premise behind the majority of videos is more or less acceptable. The editing, I would say, is even mostly on par with what I think I'd find adequate. Of course, I will always be somewhat unsatisfied and try to improve things over time, but none of those are the things that I think are truly bad about my channel. What then is my problem? Well, I think the way I have my content laid out is mostly okay as well. Starting off with facts and a general overall history of a topic before diving deeper and giving concrete examples about how something is used and the way I think about it. But I think the problem I have is that I've made a lot of little mistakes. But the thing about little mistakes is that they stop being little when there's so many of them. And there's a lot of mistakes in my content. I've tried making a video highlighting all of my mistakes in prior videos and putting it all into one place. And maybe one day I'll get around to doing that. But I remember watching Tom Scott's video on every mistake he'd ever made since 2014 and thinking, I guess everyone makes mistakes. Beyond that, though, I think there's something missing from my content. Humor is one aspect I think that's missing, but I think there's something more that's missing. And if I'm ever somehow able to post consistently, I'd like to incorporate that missing piece, whatever it is. Another thing that I've kind of been concerned with is not being entirely sure who my videos are targeting or who they're meant to target, whether it's complete newcomers or veterans or neither. I don't really know. I've been wondering if I even have a big enough audience, a big enough potential audience to continue to grow as a channel. I've also heard others express the fact that content around highly technical topics are hard for people to watch. And I think generally people nowadays do have shorter attention spans. And maybe everything surrounding programming and math has already been talked about by somebody somewhere. So sometimes you start to wonder if there's really any point in covering a topic yourself, if it's probably already been done 1,000 times. That's what I've been starting to think about. When I started this channel, I was quite literally working all day and then using 100% of my free time editing videos. Of course, if you do this for long enough, you burn out. And that's precisely what happened. Finding a balance and preventing myself from ruining my own mental health, and to some extent, the quality of my videos, I think it's going to be a tough one. I'm also not super good with attention, I've found. Even though it's just a few thousand people watching my videos, and usually only a few dozen comments at most, there's something about it that makes me kind of anxious. It also feels like there's some amount of pressure to not let people down. I make a point in my own life not to use social media and haven't done so for years. So YouTube being my only form of social media does sort of pull me out of a comfort zone to some extent. It is a social media platform in its own right, in its own way, even though it's different. For the short period after I start uploading again, I will be uploading old unfinished projects. Maybe I'll date them just to show you like how long ago it was that I started working on it. But most of these I made 6 months ago or started 6 months ago. So I'm kind of just finishing old videos. And then at some point I will start making fresh content again. Hopefully making stuff that I think actually would provide value to people. I've also started a Discord server, though it's something I'm not an expert at. So I might need a bit of assistance from my own community. Potentially, if I even still have one. I've also started a Patreon for this channel, and there's also a website that I've made, and maybe I'll go over all of these things in a separate video. But that is really the gist of this video. That's basically all I wanted to talk about and cover in this video. I did want to respond to this one comment on my first video. No, my video was not inspired by Donald Knuth, but I guess I already said that in my reply. I did go and start reading Donald Knuth's The Art of Programming, and the book made me feel stupid. I could read assembly okay, kind of well, I think. All flavors of x86. I could read the x86 instruction set, and also I could read x86-64 pretty well. I can kind of sort of read ARM, not really, but sort of. Like I can reason about it. So the custom instruction set wasn't the biggest issue in that book, but the math proofs and the calculus, that was pretty hard for me. But I did find the book really fascinating, and I do find it funny that we both used Euclid's algorithm as the first algorithm in both of our content. Although my content, I think it's kind of embarrassing to put my video next to Donald Knuth's book. But anyways, that's all I gotta say.